Previously on Coffee with Kenobi.
The greatest vacation I may have ever been on. It was so
amazing.
So wonderful.
So again, Disney, if you're listening, the answer is yes. If you want to invite us to be on the next Star Wars cruise, all three of us would be happy.
I'm there.
Somebody's got to do it.
I will make the sacrifice. I'm there.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Hello, and thank you for joining us in the Coffee with Kenobi studios. I'm your host, Dan Z, enjoying a hot cup of coffee in one of our Coffee with Kenobi mugs, talk about his shameless plugs, and I'm here with today's guest co-host, the creative director and lead producer of the Assembly of Geeks podcast network, Scott Murray, and the editor-in-chief and co-host of Brews and Blasters, Joe Tavano. Tom is bringing us the news, and Disney insider Jim Hill will be joining us with the latest on Star Wars Land at the Disney theme parks. And our CWK lifestyle correspondent, Deanna Z, will join me later to review Star Wars fragrances from Keep Me Fragrances. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. So guys, you know how podcasting works. You guys have both been... Welcome back to Coffee with...
It's good to be back.
It's great to be back, Dan. I got to say, this is my first time on Coffee with Kenobi proper. I was trying to do the math. We did this about 2 years ago on Rebels Chat.
That's right.
And it feels like so long, but it's amazing. I after doing the math, I couldn't believe how long it's been, but it's really great to be here.
It's been a while, and both of you have been really great friends to the show and to me personally, and I know at Celebration Orlando when we had our podcast stage, both of you were in there with your smiling, intelligent faces, and you guys are these are two big hosts in podcasting, as everyone listening knows. So we're gonna have 3 alpha podcasters on talking Star Wars. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. Scott, I feel bad, Scott, that we actually never met face to face, and I didn't even realize we were in the same room.
I didn't either.
That's my fault. I'll take all the blame for that.
No. We'll figure something out at some point.
You know it.
Well, yeah, I can get you in touch with each other's agents later if that will help.
There you go. Yeah, my people
mine
call
is
your
Darth,
people. Yeah.
Darth Taxis is my agent.
I hope
okay.
Not agent. He's a mess.
Yeah, he lives in
possible,
the
of course.
same town as me, and we talk to him all the time, so that can definitely work.
It's true. We love taxes.
So here's the deal with podcasting, as you both know. Doing frequent shows, obviously, 2 great shows. And last week, we had our up-to-date... I record the show on Wednesdays because it's just nice to do it in the middle of the week, and then I can release the show on Thursday, kind of get a jump on the weekend for people. And also Wednesdays, as we know, the Star Wars show tapes, and I don't know, they tape on Mondays, but they release their show on Wednesdays. And that's usually when we have the breaking news. So last week, we started off the show talking about the change, the firing of the directors of Han Solo. And at that point, we had no idea what was going to happen, who was going to take over. And within... I don't know, I'd say an hour after we released our last show, they announced the new director, and that is Ron Howard. So, gentlemen, your initial thoughts, and I guess you've had a little bit of time to marinate on this, but what do you think about Ron Howard joining the Star Wars universe?
Scott, I'll give it to you first.
Oh, I'm fine with it. I mean, if anything, I'm not having to look up his information and figure out, is this a guy I think that can handle it? I know Ron can handle it. So I'm not the least bit worried. I think it's a really good choice. I mean, he's been around a while. He's been in different circumstances. He's done these type of, at least fandom type films before. So I think, as far as someone who's been around the block and done this before, can probably take the direction that's needed from this point and do it well and do it the way Lucasfilm wants. I feel very, very good about it.
So, Dan, so first of all, you fell victim to what I call the Brews and Blasters curse, which is recording immediately before breaking news hits. And it's happened to us over and over again. And we also taped that Wednesday night, and we knew Lord and Miller were out, but we didn't know Ron Howard was in.
Right.
And that's our massive curse. It goes back all the way back to like the first trailer. So with that being said, a lot of feelings about it. Did I think that when Lord and Miller were fired, the production was in trouble? Yeah, I did. Not so much that I was a huge Lord and Miller fan. I'm not really, but to know that directors being fired, well, that's a cause for concern. But when I find out that Ron Howard is being hired, I mean, Ron Howard to me is, for lack of a better term, a closer. He's a person who understands the studio system. He knows his way around a director's chair as well as an actor's chair. I think that Ron Howard is a person that can inspire greatness in actors to give it their best, even, in maybe the darkest point in this production. He's has good relations with Lucasfilm. He has for decades, and I think he's going to be able to really turn this into gold. And who knows where it was in the process. Who knows what state he's inheriting? But I think it's going to be a fantastic film in the end.
I want to thank you on behalf of our Coffee with Kenobi family. I'd like to thank the both of you for not making any kind of puns about Falcons or anything like that. We've had enough of that, I think. This is the only director in Star Wars to date that is an Oscar winner. And not only is he an Oscar winner, but he won Best Picture and Best Director for A Beautiful Mind, which is a captivating, haunting film. And, of course, Apollo 13, and he's getting a lot of love for Willow these days. But one of my favorite things he did was being the narrator in Arrested Development. I think that first season is about as funny as you will ever see. And funny seems to be the operative word, doesn't it, when it comes to Han Solo? And the thing that I keep seeing over and over again is that Lord and Miller wanted to make a comedy, and we're kind of going away from the character stuff and just getting into the silly. And, again, I was not on the set, but it just seems like we're getting a lot of stories about that. And the fact that we have someone in here who understands story and how to use special effects. And I'm not saying that Lord Miller did not, but I always found that choice to be a bit surprising, almost like they were capitalizing on the hot factor, the fact that they had done the Lego film, which to me, by the way, is slightly overrated. I'm sorry. And maybe it's because I'd heard about it for 6 months on Assembly of Geeks, and I was so excited to see it. And then I finally saw it on a bus trip, surrounded by a bunch of high school students, and I could barely hear the movie. And so maybe that's why it didn't hit me the way that it did. I have no idea. But I feel good about this. I would like to think he's not just going to be in here and fill in some holes, and that he's actually going to have his Ron Howard spin. And I have a feeling that they're almost going to end up reshooting much of the entire thing.
I think so. I mean, it's not like they got they didn't bring in a studio hack to just come in and turn out a film. They brought in a person with a pedigree, with accolades, and someone who really understands what Kathleen Kennedy and Lawrence Kasdan envision, and someone who can put I don't want to say put their own mark on the film, but someone who can almost get out of the way of what the movie needs to be. And
anyone with more gravitas they could have added was probably Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, exactly. Or, Robert Zemeckis. I mean, the three people that George Lucas actually asked to direct the prequels before he took it over himself. Which it's pretty interesting, and I'm very comfortable. Maybe because I'm Gen X, but I'm very comfortable with the Ron Howard directorial choice.
There's evidently some footage that Lord and Miller did that they're pleased with. In fact, we tweeted a story that went out just today, I think, that said that there was a sizzle reel that had been shown that supposedly Lucasfilm or at least people who saw it were relatively happy with. So maybe the best parts of what Lord and Miller did was in that, and the times where they were trying to make it a little more screwball or were yelling improv lines from behind the camera supposedly are going to be the types of things that go away, and Ron Howard's going to have to pick up and tweak because, they're going to, I guess now, whereas production was almost done in 2 or 3 weeks, it's now going to extend into the fall to I guess, cover up the rest of that. And then the Directors Guild is going to have to figure out how they're going to lay out who gets credit for what when the entire movie's over.
That, I think, is going to be a major challenge. That I think, is going to be one of the most interesting things to see how that unfolds. I do find it so amusing, or maybe I'm more bemused, that's probably the better term, that these guys thought, oh, Lawrence Kasdan, he only wrote The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, The Big Chill, Silverado. What a hack. Right? Let's throw out his script. The guy who helped create Han Solo and put a stamp on him.
Yeah, that guy needs to get a job.
Yeah, I guess so.
We'll take what he did.
That anyone would do that. I mean, obviously, and I'm not saying that these two didn't respect Kasdan. I have no reason to say that at all, but apparently they were so invested in what they were doing, and they're used to their own style. Like, I've never seen 21 or 22 Jump Street, but I know that is drastically different from the source material, which is, at its heart, a pretty serious, heavy-duty show that, of course, launched the career of a guy named Johnny Depp you may have heard of. So, yeah, it was not just at the beginning, but Ron Howard, talk about stepping up to the plate. I would be interested to see, as generations go on, if he's thought of as the director of the Han Solo film or just the guy that filled in.
So, two thoughts. First of all, I was reading a little bit of what Bresnikan had written. He updated his article that came out last week, somewhere around Monday, Tuesday night. It was I was right before I went to bed. I read this, and there's some debating facts on whether or not how much they were trying to do screwball comedy versus Western, or it's very unclear. It's very murky exactly what these sources are reporting, but I found it interesting that they shot most of what Kasdan had written, and then went back and did these impromptu, off the cuff, improv takes of the scene as well. And I'm not sure. I think that's really what caused a lot of delays as well, because you have a schedule and you have this many shots you need to fill in one day, and instead of moving from one shot to another, you're doing multiples of the same shot, and that's going to suck up way more time to get everything reset and redone, and trying to capture some moment that may not even come. I mean, you can't get another "I love you, I know." We all know that's the most famous impromptu line in Star Wars, but it's hard to make that happen again. And the second part is that I also read that if Lord and Miller had filmed more than 90% of the movie, then by DGA rules, the Directors Guild, they're entitled to a director's cut, which may or may not ever be seen, but they would actually have the right to assemble what they had made and produce a director's cut of the film, which is really interesting. I don't think it'll ever happen. I'm sure the Kathleen Kennedy,
Lucasfilm allowing that to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure that they cut it at 89.9 before that happened. I'm sure they're much smarter than that, but it's very interesting to get behind the scenes and talk with this sort of speculation. I really enjoy it.
Scott, anything else kind of hit you before we move on to our next segment?
No, it was interesting because I took a little bit of crap on Assembly of Geeks this week, because very much like what you and Joe were just talking about, a certain amount of news came out when we recorded it, and then some more news came out after it was done. I mean, even our Sky Talker show had to recorded their conversation about it before Ron Howard got hired. But then here I come on the show, and I still stand by some of this, that I'm not. I just think sometimes as fandom, while I think there's things to be concerned about and definitely things we're talking about, I think we tend to take things to the extreme and start talking about, oh my gosh, this is going to be awful. And then you start seeing all these silly clickbait articles about, oh, should Kathleen Kennedy step down because she doesn't know what she's doing now after this fiasco and stuff like that. And I had talked about how I wasn't, really all that worried, because I kind of took the approach that, so far Lucasfilm, especially in this new era, hasn't really let us down. And if they think they can still pull this off, I think it's worth believing them. However, I did get a little more worried when I started finding out that late in the game they wanted an acting coach hired.
I saw that. I did. Too. Yeah.
I mean, it's not unusual to, for that to happen. But again, the ongoing theme seems to be how late some of these things were happening. So, so that jarred me a little bit, but I still think that if they think they can get the ship righted and still make that release date, I'm still going to be looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, the next thing we're all going to react to and get a sense of how this thing turned out is when we see that first footage. And I think that's what to wait for, really.
Right. And I have a feeling that our next guest is going to have quite a bit of insight into that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a break. And when we return, we will have a conversation with Disney insider Jim Hill. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
Better than one of those coffee chains. It's Coffee with Kenobi.
Coffee with Kenobi is sponsored by Penguin Random House Audio. Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Try listening to them on audio. Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. From brand new audiobooks such as Thrawn and Empire's End Aftermath to our blockbuster movie tie-in editions, you'll have plenty to keep you entertained. Visit penguinrandomhouseaudio.com/Star Wars for sample clips and to start listening now. Coffee with Kenobi is also sponsored by the Star Wars digital card trader collecting app from Topps. If you love Star Wars and love the excitement of chasing your favorite Star Wars collectibles, the Star Wars digital card trader collecting app from Topps is for you. Download the free app from iTunes or Google Play and collect your favorite images from the classic 1977 Star Wars cards to the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, The Force Awakens, Rogue One, and much more. Collect and trade with friends new and old through the Star Wars digital card trader collecting app from Topps. These are the cards you're looking for. A huge reason for the success of our show is our CWK Patreon contributors, including Jason Hall, Dennis Keithley, Angela Souse, Aaron Harris, David Strutt, Jim Capron, Connie Shee, Mediocre Jedi, BJ Smith, Nick Deco, Adam Leonard, Mark Suter, Mike Audette, Eric Struthers, Jared Cantor, and Swara Sala. It's a monthly donation that goes towards show expenses, equipment, and travel, and there are a number of incentives for you if you are considering being a CWK Patreon contributor. A brand new thing we've added, I shouldn't say brand new, it happened a few weeks ago. Anyone who contributes $5 or more will automatically get a follow from our CWK Twitter feed, and you'll also hear your name at the beginning of each show, as you just heard members of our CWK Patreon family mentioned a few moments ago. $10 or more will get you access to a Google Hangout, as well as the previous $35 more gives you all of the preceding things I just mentioned, and you get a CWK coffee mug. $50 or more is the same, but instead of getting a coffee mug, you can pick a t-shirt or a mug, whatever you want. As the incentives go on and on, $50 or more and up, you will get to co-host a show with me on Coffee with Kenobi. And that would be anywhere from one show to two shows in a month to possibly an entire month sitting in a chair next to me and sharing a cup of coffee with me and our listeners. And that is something that we are very excited about offering. I think it would be great. We have so many intelligent Star Wars fans who have a lot to say, and this is one way to make sure that happens. So if you have any questions, reach out to me at feedback@coffeewithkenobi.com or follow the link on our Coffee with Kenobi webpage or see the show notes for more information. We are delighted to have Disney insider Jim Hill back on the show to join us for a cup of coffee. Welcome back, Jim.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Well, remember, we broke ground in April of 2016 on both coasts on this 14-acre area. So at this point, we've got steel going up in both parks. In fact, most recently, you probably saw the shots that were coming out of Disney Hollywood Studios, which showed the ATAs, the first order attraction, which will feature the moment where you come around a corner and here are two full-size assault vehicles about to begin firing on you. They built those in place inside of the building, and then in much the same way that they then are going to put the track, built the track for Rock and Roller Coaster, and then built the building around them. That's kind of what they're doing here. But if you're keeping track at home, the Anaheim project is moving a little faster, a little further along. They haven't. Well, it's Anaheim. They didn't have quite as wet a spring as the folks in Florida did, but they're making great strides. And more to the point, you guys got to hear, what was said in at the Star Wars Celebration, right, about what's coming, right?
Right.
Yeah, I was at that panel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the everything from getting your meat roasted on a pod racer engine, or of course the blue milk, which again from day one has been what Disney hopes will be their butter beer for this thing. In fact, again, I can't tell you which Imagineer who told me this, and basically said, we've had more meetings about the blue milk than we've had about the land.
I mean, after I left that panel, I was under the impression that this was going to be the Star Wars equivalent of Westworld as far as the experience was concerned.
Yeah, I have to admit, the concept of acquiring a reputation, and in fact, I've been doing some nosing around about, that, because obviously, face it, not many of us actually have a Millennium Falcon at home. So, when we finally get the chance to climb in the cockpit, we're not going to know what buttons to hit, or how to fly this thing. There's supposedly 3 to 4 months out from the actual launch of the land, which, remember, is Disney hasn't officially said it as such, but it's going to be May of 2019. The idea is to have the land open in time for the Memorial Day weekend, and that's typically the unofficial start of summer in the theme park world. So you probably will see a soft opening, some annual pass related, so much in the same way that Pandora, the World of Avatar, just did it in Animal Kingdom. But out ahead of that, supposedly a dedicated website will go live that will actually allow you to take a tutorial on the Millennium Falcon. So if you want, again, it's just the whole notion of, before you go to the theme park, you have to do your homework. But it then means that, there will be people who can then climb into the cockpit, know exactly what to do, or have a good enough sense that they can pilot it. And then you actually walk around Star Wars land with a good reputation. You're the one who, the rogues and ruffians will sort of shuffle up to you and, kind of hand you a couple extra credits, like, you did a good job. You didn't drop my load when you were bringing it in. So here, but that's what they're talking about doing. This whole notion of it's not this passive experience. You are going to have conversations with these folks. You are going to, and they're going to know who you are, which is a different thing for the Disney parks.
It almost sounds a little risky too, because there may be some people who are a little more introverted. They may not want to engage in that kind of experience.
It's so interesting you bring that up, because right now at Knott's Berry Farm, they're doing this thing called Ghost Town Live. And the gimmick of that is any one day when you walk into Ghost Town at that park, there are 24 people who are playing members of that community. And and it's interesting you mentioned the introvert thing, because they actually taught the actors there that assume everybody's an introvert, and the whole notion is let them come to you, let them show what level of interaction they want. So if they just want to have a passing conversation, that's fine. If they want to join a posse and go capture an outlaw, also fine. So I can't help but think that there's got to be a couple of Imagineers who are loitering in Ghost Town right now going, okay, that's an interesting idea. We'll have to see if we can do that with our Tusken Raiders. So
let's go back to the Millennium Falcon. Is that going to be set up similar to how Back to the Future was and how the Simpsons attraction is at Universal? How are they going to set that up?
Well, that's the thing. We can't all, if there's only one Millennium Falcon, the line will go out the door down to San Diego. So yes, there will be multiple cabins. What they're going to do to kind of fake you out. Again, I don't want to spoil the illusion for a lot of folks, but, it's like when you go to Mickey's Toontown and you go to see Mickey, there's sort of a holding room where walls shift, these sort of bookcases that are filled with film cans move back and forth to hide the doorways. That's what's actually going to happen. That you're going to be walk up into the Millennium Falcon, and equipment is going to be placed in such a way that the physical space you'll recognize from the films, but through misdirection you'll end up into where you think the Falcon capsule should be. The thing kind of breaks my heart is originally part of the queue for this thing. When you finally made it up into the Millennium Falcon, there was going to be a photo stop with Chewie. That he was literally going to be in that big central room that we've seen. The one where Luke wore the blast visor and practiced the first time with his lightsaber. But that seems to have fallen off of the table because when they play tested it, everyone just wanted to linger in that space with Chewie. Nobody wanted to actually get in the ride.
Well, something like Chewie is at the launch bay, I can understand why, because he's tremendous.
Yeah.
No, he's what was it that when Nancy and I went to go visit him last year, was commenting to the performer, who was playing Chewie at the time. He the only person I knew who had more back hair than I did. So, but no, I mean they do such a good job. What's interesting. I'm down in Orlando right now, and what's just kind of bizarre is when you drive from the airport right now, one of the billboards on out on the highway is promoting Meet BB-8. I mean, that's really what people need to understand about Star Wars Land is that this is going to be this all-encompassing space where, again, it's all up to you. I mean, yes, you can have these encounters with, the sort of signature characters that we know from the films, R2-D2, C-3PO, BB-8, Chewie and the like. But there's also going to be the second tier of characters who are going to have wonderful backstories and, tales to tell. But again, it's all going to be up to you about how involved you get with them. And again, more to the point, if you've managed to drive the Millennium Falcon into an asteroid field and bang it up really bad, they'll come to you. They'll hey you.
Fascinating.
So
it must be. I'm assuming, I'm guessing that it's going to be through the Magic Band technology, perhaps.
Yeah, though what's interesting, you may have heard of the new version of the Magic Bands they're doing. It's more of a sort of a dangly, like a keychain fob.
Oh, really? No, I didn't know.
Yeah, they just introduced it. I mean, that's the other thing. They have part of the problem here is they want to offer the same experience on both coasts. And to be honest, Magic Bands isn't out at Disneyland yet. So it's like, so how exactly are we going to do this? So that's why they're kind of thinking maybe we need to, sort of zero in this fob technology or fob-based technology because it's a little easier to adapt or to get in place. More to the point, and that's the other thing I think that's going to be difficult here is that when you're speaking it as an introvert, sometimes people aren't going to want to be singled out. But again, these performers, thanks to these fobs and that sort of thing, are going to have a lot of information about you and your favorite characters or your history or how many times you've been back to Star Wars Land or that sort of thing. And it's going to be interesting to see how Disney trains its cast members to make use of that info.
It's going to be a Herculean undertaking, and if Avatar, the world of Avatar and Pandora, is any indication, I think we're in for something spectacular because you're managing to get people invested in a film that has been out for over 10 years, and then you're going to take Star Wars, which of course has this probably the most popular modern mythology of the past 40 years. So I think you're right. There are going to be lines to San Diego, and that might even be from Orlando.
Now, speaking of Orlando, did hear something interesting. Now, again, remember when these things launch in 2019, they're both supposed to be 14 acres, the biggest, single land added to both, both Disney theme parks, or resorts in the States. However, at Walt Disney World might, the Disney Hollywood Studios version might actually get bigger, faster. In fact, the interesting thing is that the one at Disneyland is basically landlocked. Once they finish their construction, I mean, it's literally right up against, for example, the perimeter road for Disneyland. In fact, when you're going to the parking garage right now, or driving to the Disneyland Hotel, you go up over a road and can look right down into the construction site. There's an amazing view of what's going on right now. On the other hand, at Disney Hollywood Studios, have you guys heard about the replacement project for the Great Movie Ride yet?
No, just some sort of rumors, but there's always rumors about what's going to go in there.
Well, the rumors are getting a little louder. Basically, the belief is that once Star Wars Land opens, kind of the 1-2 punch of Toy Story Land opens, Star Wars Land opens, and there's a third punch that nobody's talking about yet, and it may finally walk out at D23 Expo next month. But there's a Monstropolis plan that face it, once Star Wars Land opens, why would you need Launch Bay? You have the old animation buildings and everything just standing there, and you don't need an area that celebrates the film. You have this amazing new space that does that. So you have all this real estate that suddenly opens up, and that supposedly is where Monstropolis is going to be built, along with a version of Club 33.
Oh, wow.
That's Club 33 is coming to all four of the Disney World theme parks plus Disney Springs over the next 5 years. And a lot of that is to service the folks who bought those, $1 million homes in Golden Oaks. They want someplace special tonight, and Disney's going to give it to them. But anyway, right behind that is a redo of the Great Movie Ride. In fact, what's kind of sad is that inside of the same time period, we're talking the early 2020s, we're basically going to lose the 2 theater car-driven attractions at Walt Disney World. Ellen's Energy Adventure is going away to make way for a Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and the Great Movie Ride is going to go also. And what'll happen is it'll be replaced by a sit-down show that basically will feature the modern version of Mickey Mouse, the one that you see in the shorts that are on the Disney Channel now. Mm-hmm. The idea is that this is Mickey somehow gets sucked into a projector, and you see him celebrate all of Hollywood history. And a friend was describing the prototype of this that was done, and it's like Mickey being chased by the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and him alongside Tom Cruise and Top Gun and that sort of thing. But anyway, but the thing of it is, when you do a sit-down show like that, you don't need all of the space that building occupies. And the Great Movie Ride is in a building that's 95,000 square feet, because you have to roll through all those sets. So supposedly the plan is that what would happen is that they'd build this sit-down attraction toward the front around the Chinese theater, and then pull down a lot of the buildings, or a lot of the building toward the back, which would then allow them to add yet another street and yet another attraction to Disney Hollywood Studios Star Wars Land.
Oh. And is this, can we, and I know our time's running short, so I'll get you out on here on this one, but is that kind of what we might expect at the D23 Expo? And also, are there any other Star Wars related things you think we can look forward to?
Well, let's face it, we've all been keeping track of the news about the Han Solo movie. In fact, my understanding is that Disney's attorneys have reached out to Lord and Miller, and basically told them that they have to surrender all of the footage they have. Because face it, directors take home stuff that they're worked on and it's on their laptops because they're, putting together assemblies and that sort of thing. And I think the fear is at Disney that a cut of this earlier, jokier version of the Han Solo movie is going to get out there. But this is the thing. Ron Howard begins work on July 10th. His manifesto is to deliver a somewhat more sincere, not gag-driven version of the Han Solo story, and in a weird sort of way, he's the perfect choice. I mean, if you think about, he's a director of Willow, so he's played in the Lucasfilm playground before, Apollo 13, and The Grinch. So this is a guy who's worked with characters and practical effects, but at the same time has done big, space-bound effects movies. And at the same time, what I love about it is this is the guy who directed Splash. This is, the Disney's first hit during the Eisner era. So it's all these Venn diagrams coming together. And that coupled with, I don't know if you heard the story that Ron told at Cannes earlier this week about, how he and his wife went to the opening day of Star Wars at Mann's Chinese, and they had such a great time that they walked out the door of the theater and they looked over and here was this hour-long line to get into the show that was after the show they just attended. And it's like, oh, we got to do it. And they got right back in line. So, he's the right guy. I feel bad that's what's has happened. It also, let's be honest. So on the heels of what happened with Rogue One, it does kind of raise concerns about are there issues at Lucasfilm? But at the same time, when you look at the finished product with Rogue One, okay.
Success.
Yeah, and so I'm hopeful that Han Solo will get back on track, and there is a little part of me that does want to see what Lord and Miller did. So I kind of hope maybe they didn't give everything to the Disney attorneys. But yeah, I from my understanding at the D23 Expo, in the Imagineering Pavilion, we'll get our first ever look at the actual model for Star Wars Land. But this will be, again, the first iteration. We're not talking about, the second version, particularly for Disney Hollywood Studios with the extra street, which we haven't even touched on, the reason they might need an extra street, which is that Star Wars hotel that Disney was, sending the concept out and doing survey work earlier this year.
That really was the thing that happened.
That is a thing that definitely happened. That's real artwork. That was a real survey, and evidently they got a strong enough reaction that they did in fact begin site prep. Now mind you, site prep is not construction. Site prep is you clear the pad where you might build something. In fact, and I have to tell you that, when I lived in Orlando in the 1990s, I used to drive the road along past Fort Wilderness on my way to the Magic Kingdom, and I could look out to my right where they'd done the site prep for Buffalo Junction, which was this Western-themed hotel that was supposed to be set in a Western town that Disney wanted to build and never went forward with. So just because they've done site prep doesn't necessarily means it's a thing. In fact, I hate to bring politics into this, but Disney right now is kind of dealing with the blowback from Mr. Trump and what he's been doing with visas. And there's a lot of international travelers who, over the past 6 months, have kind of gone, is it safe to go to the States? And, maybe we better put off that Disney World vacation. And it's had an impact on the resort. And that's been noticed by the board of directors. So a lot of stuff that was maybe a go project, something that had been green lighted, is now a flashing green light. It's something that, well, wait a minute, maybe we'll do that in the future. And, I just hate to think that because of this whole banned from the 6, these people from these 6 Muslim countries, but that, that could possibly actually put the Star Wars hotel on hold. But you see, that's the thing.
So much to go. I wish that our coffee wasn't running short because I'd love to continue talking about this with you. Where can people find you online? Because you have a number of great podcasts and a very popular website as well.
Well, that's Mr. Testa and I. We do the Disney Dish podcast. That's on Bandcamp and where else? iTunes. And yes, I have the very not so humble sounding website jimhillmedia.com, and I write some stuff for HuffPo. But yeah, I think I'm lurking in a lot of corners around the web. You just probably trip over me at some point. But more to the point, I mean, how great is it to have this podcast at this time in the Star Wars world? When there's so much stuff going on. How do you guys even stay on top of half of this stuff?
Oh man, well, it's a full-time gig. I mean, our show was monthly for a year and a half, and now we're weekly, and there's always plenty to fill. That's for sure.
Well, get ready for the daily edition because it's got to come sometime soon. I mean, they're not kidding around. It's at every corner of the Disney company at these points is in the Star Wars business. And
do they ever get concerned about oversaturation? I mean, so far that hasn't been a problem.
Well, look, that Kathleen Kennedy. In fact, what's kind of ironic is that, face it, Bob Iger has said that, he, mind you, he said this a number of times over the past 5 to 10 years that I'm stepping down, and supposedly actually he's most recent, I will step down from the Walt Disney Company in 2019, which to me speaks volumes because he wanted to hang on long enough to get into Star Wars land. He's viewing that as his huge triumph when you consider Pandora, when you consider Shanghai Disneyland, that's why he wants to stay on. That's impressive. But anyway, but now the question is, well, who's going to replace Iger as the head of the Walt Disney Company? And for me, what fascinates me is the 2 names that keep coming up. One is Kathleen Kennedy in charge of Lucasfilm, and the other one is Kevin Feige, who's in charge of Marvel Studios. Both of whom have, made these incredibly popular films and things that are going into the parks and, all sorts of the spinoffs and that sort of thing. So, I like what Kathleen has done with Lucasfilm so far. I love that she took the chance on Rogue One and that story turned out as well as it did. That's why I'm looking forward to what a Han Solo film directed by Ron Howard will look like. I still wonder what the Phil Lord and Christopher Miller version would look like, but hey, maybe it'll turn up something.
Academy Award-winning director at the helm of the Falcon. I almost made it through the whole show without making some sort of weird Star Wars-y Han Solo pun, but there you have it. So, Jim, what's your Twitter handle if people want to follow you on Twitter?
Oh, geez.
At Jim Hill
I'm hoping it's Jim Hill Media /Twitter, I think. I'm sorry. Nancy is the brains of the outfit. She handles that stuff. I'm just the chimp who types the stories. So,
well,
sorry, guys.
We appreciate you typing these stories and for being on the show. Thank you so much, Jim, and we look forward to chatting with you soon. Maybe we'll get a chance to visit with you after D23.
Oh, no, that'd be great. I'd love to talk about, what they rolled out and what the models, they had. And again, what sort of announcements they made. Are you guys coming or?
I'm 50-50 right now.
Okay. Well, again, you'll want to be in the room to see this model. Just saying.
Well, hey, thank you again for having a cup of coffee with us. Jim Hill, ladies and gentlemen. After the break, Tom will do the newscast. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
This is Coffee with Kenobi. Oh, pass the cream, would you?
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Try listening to them on audio. Featuring sound effects, top-notch narrators, and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. From Han Solo to C-3PO to Admiral Akbar, you'll recognize all of your favorite characters. Listen to movie tie-ins like Rogue One and The Force Awakens, to book titles such as Thrawn and Empire's End Aftermath, to classic audiobooks like William Shakespeare's Star Wars. With Star Wars audiobooks, you'll have plenty of Star Wars listening to keep you entertained. Visit penguinrandomhouseaudio.com/Star Wars for sample clips and to start listening now. The Star Wars Digital Card Trader Collecting app features incredible images from many aspects of the saga, including the original trilogy, the prequels, the Clone Wars, Rebels, The Force Awakens, and Rogue One. It's the quality you have come to expect from Topps. It's also easy to get into and really fun, too. Your favorite Star Wars characters, scenes, and moments are in every pack. To get started, download the app for free from iTunes or Google Play, and then be sure to open the app each day for free credits to spend on card packs from the Cantina. Plus, if you can't get what you're looking for, there's a place to trade with your friends as you complete your Star Wars collection. And if you're an experienced collector, there are exclusive cards, special inserts, and autograph opportunities for you to enjoy. Don't worry about missing the cards and sets you want either, as you can sign up for notifications right on the app. The Star Wars Digital Card Trader Collecting app from Topps can be downloaded for free from iTunes or Google Play. Be sure to download the app and start your collection today. The Star Wars Digital Card Trader Collecting app from Topps is available now. And remember, these are the cards you're looking for.
What's new in the Star Wars Digital Card Trader Collecting app from Topps? Well, there are a number of things, like the retroactive set, which has your favorite Star Wars characters getting this retroactive design. Heroes and villains, of course. The Sinister Syndicate highlights some of the most diabolical beings in the galaxy. Star Wars The Phantom Menace classic card art is also an option, which features characters from The Phantom Menace in that classic card art style, and I am absolutely crazy about this set. It's one of the most fun things about each day to get on there and try to find the most recent one that's released. And then the Creature Sketchbook, where you get to take a peek inside an artist's sketchbook with characters like the Rancor, Banthas, Dubak, and so many more. The Star Wars Digital Card Trader Collecting app from Topps features all those images, plus images from the original trilogy, the prequels, the Clone Wars, Rebels, The Force Awakens, and Rogue One. It's basically everything you'd expect from Topps, and that means high quality and beautiful images. So really, really easy. You have your favorite Star Wars characters there, scenes and moments in every single pack. All you need to do is download it from iTunes or Google Play, and it's a free app, which makes it even better. And every day when you open the app, you get free credits to spend on the different card packs in what they call the Cantina, which is, of course, where you get the different sets. And if you can't get what you're looking for, there's a place to trade with your friends, and you can sign up for notifications right on the app. You also have exclusive cards, special inserts, and autograph opportunity. I've seen them autographing these things. It's really, really cool. So it's genuine. The Star Wars Digital Card Trader Collecting app from Topps can be downloaded for free from iTunes or Google Play. Be sure to download the app and start your collection today. The Star Wars Digital Card Trader Collecting app from Topps is available now. And remember, these are the cards you're looking for. We're back in the news segment of the show after a great conversation with Jim Hill. And Tom, have you gotten any bit over the Disney cruise hangover yet? Are you back in business?
Oh yeah, we're back to earth now, and everything is just great memories now. There's no longing. We've cut the cord. The trip is over. Yeah, it's all good. Yes.
Well, we're talking about trying to go on a cruise sometime late next year because of what you've been saying. I think that was the last thing to kind of push us over the top.
Oh man. I can't even. Don't start teasing me now.
Well, you know I will every day at lunch. So what do you got for us today?
Well, let's see. Hey, Star Wars Forces of Destiny released a new trailer this last Tuesday and fans across the galaxy, including my 10-year-old daughter, went crazy. Forces of Destiny is a series of animated shorts, or as executive producer Dave Filoni says, bite-sized, short, self-contained adventures, which tell the untold stories of Rey, Jyn, Princess Leia, Sabine, Padme, Ahsoka, and others. Filoni says they are very much a part of the Star Wars saga. Forces of Destiny features voices of Daisy Ridley as Rey, Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso, and Lupita Nyong'o as Maz. The series releases on the Disney YouTube channel on July 3rd, and the first 8 getting broadcast release July 9th on the Disney Channel.
This could easily have been the opening story, if not for Ron Howard coming in to take the helm for the Han Solo film. I think this thing looks spectacular. All right, when they introduced it at Celebration Orlando this year, I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. But I didn't really give it a lot of thought because there was just a lot going on then, and then, life gets in the way, and here we are. So I saw the trailer, and I thought the animation is clearly, it's more 2D, obviously, but these stories look spectacular, and I believe everything is from a canonical frame of reference as well.
The official account said, "Yo, this is canon." That was their tweet. Yo, this is canon.
Yes, thank you, Justin Boulder, for clearing that up. And actually, I spoke with somebody from the story group at Celebration, and they told me the same thing.
Yeah, I'm very excited to watch this. It looks this is new. These are new stories. This is new Disney new from the last segment. This is new Star Wars animation, and it's something to get excited about. And these are all new stories with the original cast voicing them. This is fantastic.
I will be watching these. Not afraid to say that I am also interested in the merch.
Really?
Especially Sabine, because I remember I've been a Sabine fan for a long time, and I remember how many literally months, if not years, it took to track down a figure of hers. So the fact that they've got this version of her too, I really, really like. But the other thing is, my niece, who we are raising around Star Wars, and since her name is Reagan, she says Rey is her. But she's only been able to see bits and pieces because she'll be 5 in December. So we're not ready to show her some of the things you see that might kind of traumatize a 5-year-old in the movies. But whereas this looks like something that's perfect because, she likes to watch the Lego animated shows like the Freemakers and all that sort of thing. So I'm excited that this might be something we can show her where she can see Rey in action and these other characters in action and be able to totally immerse herself in something. And it'll just be even that much more of a great launching pad for when she can actually see all these ladies in action and, in Rebels and, of course, the movies.
Tom, are you and the girls, are they really excited about this as well?
No, man, I was just going to say, I showed my 10-year-old just out of the blue. I said, hey, you need to come down to the office. I've got something I need to show you. She came down and I fired up that trailer with no, like, hey, this is a Star Wars thing, nothing. And when it started, every character that came on just built and built. And I have to say, I thought I was going to have to cover my ears when Ahsoka comes on and ignites those 2 sabers. She is such a huge Ahsoka fan, but oh man, she was is pumped up for this. And can I even tell you that when I told her, hey, these come out next week.
Yeah.
Oh, like immediate gratification compared to we have to wait till May.
Yeah.
So it was, she is totally pumped for it. And I agree. When I look at and I think Scott, you said it, the merchandise for this, my wife and I had a conversation about the difference between action figures and dolls. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I really don't care what we call them in my house. Yeah. Action figures, they can be dolls because they are so awesome. They are so cool. And I can't wait. I haven't showed my daughter those yet because I want to put one in her hand before she ever sees one, on a screen. So I'm totally looking forward to that.
I remember seeing these up close at Celebration, and I couldn't help but be reminded of like the old Thunderbirds, like the ones they actually use, and I thought that was a pretty cool style to go after. I don't know if it was
give me the creeps. I think the Thunderbird, like I don't get scared of hardly anything, but if there was a Thunderbird doll in my house, I'd probably move or light the house on fire.
I
always thought that was a cool style. I dug it. But I mean,
you would totally get the one that would move on its own, like in Poltergeist. It'd be on your shelf. You'd close your eyes, open it, and it's somewhere else.
that stupid. No offense, everyone. That stupid Christmas elf thingy that they have out there.
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
shelf.
Up on the shelf, yes. Every
Yeah.
year my wife tries to scare the heck out of me with that stupid thing. But at least I'm not bitter. That's good.
Oh, I got to tell you the story. One time, my wife brought home a Halloween decoration. It was this weird witch thing, and I'm like, by the next day, it was gone. I'm like, this thing is staring at me. I can't abide it. It was too creepy. But yeah, those figures, doll, whatever you want to call them, they're not for me, and that's kind of the coolest thing ever. I'm really, really happy that we have just a whole other line of merchandise and figures or doll, whatever you want to call them, for a younger generation, for girls and for boys, whoever is into these at that young age. I'm just really excited for just keeping it vibrant and keeping children interested in Star Wars and keeping the new generation going.
Exactly. It's about bringing in new generations constantly. And since that has come up, we'll broach this subject very briefly. There's been a lot of backlash, as seems to be the case whenever something happens new that doesn't center on a person of the male persuasion. I don't know. I mean, we don't usually address anything negative, and I'm not going to be negative here at all, but I think, Joe, you said it beautifully. This is cool. This gets people that are younger into Star Wars and some people that are older into Star Wars, and there's plenty of Star Wars to go around. You don't have to like everything at the Thanksgiving table, but it's all there if you want it.
Absolutely. I mean, Star Wars. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Please, by all means.
I hear that, and I think part of it is they seem to be doing so much of it predominantly, and that seems to get people's attention. But what has to be remembered sometimes is, I always think about that story that Kathleen Kennedy told at Celebration when she was talking about being that little girl, and all the guys had all these characters they could be, and when she was looped in, it was like, well, guess I'm Leia, and that was it. So I look at these new initiatives to get women and young women and girls is making up for lost time. And that's why you're seeing so much of it in a row, whether it be Rey or Jen or this project, because, in a lot of ways, if this stuff had been incorporated like the guys were for the last 25 years, you probably wouldn't see it as much as you do now, but you do, because that's the way I've always kind of looked at it. It's kind of making up for some of that lost time. And, if the shoe was on the other foot, you'd be demanding more guy characters to be lining up, making up for lost time. So that's kind of the way I look at it when I see just how much they're doing. And it's not like, we don't have cool new people to cheer after or to get into, either with anybody from Rebels or, Finn. I'm a huge Finn fan as well. Yeah. So, I think it's all a good thing. And fandom is expanding. And the best way to do it is to get everybody involved at a young age, and it continues to just dominate the world like we want it to.
And honestly, when I saw that trailer, I wasn't thinking, oh, there's a female character. Oh, there's a female character. I was thinking,
right.
Oh, there's a cool character. Oh, I love Princess Leia. Oh, I love Sabine. Oh, cool, Jin's on here. And hey, that sounds like Felicity Jones. Those are the things that go through my mind. And then you hear Daisy Ridley talking, and you think, these are big talents. These are big stars. And they're participating in everything because they believe in these characters. They believe in this universe. They believe in this mythology and this fandom. That should be nothing but a positive thing to embrace. But what else do you have for us, Don?
They're heroes, right? I just had to get it out there.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. And there's room for everyone. I'm just that's kind of where I think about it.
Absolutely. Room for everybody. And hey, in other news from the galaxy, Star Wars Rebels Season 3 will be available on Blu-ray and DVD August 29th. If you missed this season or just need to catch the adventures again, this will be a must for your video collection. Season 3 makes several connections from the Clone Wars to shaping the Rogue One timeline. The DVD set also includes extras that will include, that according to StarWars.com, include a look at the formation of the Rebel Alliance, as well as 19 episodes of Rebels Recon hosted by Andy Gutierrez. The Blu-ray will include extras that explore where Mandalore fits into the Empire, Thrawn's impact on the Star Wars universe, and Saw Gerrera's character background featuring Forrest Whitaker. The Blu-ray will also include 5 audio commentaries by Dave Filoni, Justin Ridge, art director Killian Plunkett, animation supervisor Keith Kellogg, and CG supervisor Joel Aaron. Dan, the only thing I found to be missing are podcast episodes of Rebels Reactions.
Right? Yeah, that might be on the expanded edition, I think, that you can get a hold of. This is awesome, obviously, and you mentioned a lot of the highlights. The fact that they're going to do a commentary for some of these episodes, I think that's going to be worth the price of admission alone. But this cover for the Blu-ray is gorgeous.
I haven't seen it. What's the cover?
It is amazing. I love. You know what I love about it is the work of threes in there. Right. You have, and I'm not looking at it right now either, but it has the three. I forget. Ezra's in the center with Sabine, and who's to his
Maul.
Right, Dan Maul, and then down below, split by a green lightsaber, you have the three heroes and three villains. It's such a cool. It flows well, and it's really neat.
Wow!
Yeah, I really enjoyed that season.
That's great. It's fantastic.
I'm so excited for these commentaries. I wish every episode had a commentary track that you could listen along to. I'm a huge fan of them. I can only expect there's so much more to learn, and I love hearing it direct from the source. We can hear Justin Ridge speak. I can't wait for that. That's he ended up being sort of a mysterious character in the background of Star Wars this season, and there was plenty of hype before the season started of who is this person. It turns out he's been there all for a while, but it's interesting to hear his take on the season as well.
I just sent you the link to the cover.
Look at this. I love it.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, all threes everywhere. Yeah,
there's plenty to dissect in this as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover. Finally, during the news segment in May, we talked about the generosity of the Star Wars community through the Force of Change campaign. And a few weeks ago, Dan, you talked with Amy Ratcliffe and Coffee with Kenobi blogger Mediocre Jedi about the Star Wars fandom and treating each other with respect and kindness. Well, this next story involves Adam Driver delivering a dream in Budweiser's Folds of Honor campaign. In this video released Wednesday, Adam Driver is shown delivering a dream to the family of a wounded veteran. This video is narrated by the daughter of this wounded veteran who wrote a letter to the Folds of Honor in search of a scholarship to complete her nursing degree, which was inspired by her father's hardships. Adam Driver arrives at the house and surprises the family with this special honor. Now, I don't want to give away too much of the video, but a great moment is when Driver shares his military experience that mirrors the experience of the wounded veteran and the family, who has clearly felt alone in his guilt of being injured before deployment and not there for his friends. The short video, which I've posted to my Twitter account @Draftline, or you may find it in any Coffee with Kenobi social media, ends with the most compassionate, epic hug ever. Totally worth a watch. I realize this isn't a Disney or Star Wars initiative necessarily, but it does include Adam Driver, who became part of the Star Wars family with The Force Awakens. And I think it's so great to learn a little more about those who play our heroes and villains and help to make our story so great.
I'm really glad. Before each show, Tom and I chat or text or just get in touch with each other and talk about what we're going to cover in the news segment for CWK. And when I saw that you were going to include this, I was really happy. I watched this video today, and I'm not ashamed to admit I got a little choked up. I got some tears running down my face because there's a lot of real heart and emotion. It's neat to see these actors. They're still human beings, and Adam Driver. I mean, he's a veteran. You know, he was in the military. He was a Marine. So when he does that and speaks with his family, and you could tell he's just overcome with emotion, and he holds back and he holds back, and then he just can't hold back anymore, and he gives to his family. Like, it was beautiful. I'm just really a lovely thing.
Adam Driver always strikes me as just such a genuine person, that he takes great strides to not ever say anything that is inauthentic or not from his heart. And when he does, if you were ever put in that situation, he would rather hold his tongue. And I know there are stories from the set of him being a little bit more reserved and a little bit more quiet and not as engaging with the other cast members. And he just seems like such an introspective and thoughtful person. And this was a very moving video to watch. And it also doesn't strike me as surprising at all to see Adam do something like this. And I don't even, I clearly don't know know Adam Driver. I don't know him at all, but it's something that seems very, very authentic to his character that we know so far. Which is
I had a chance to see it too. It's really good. Yeah. I had a chance to see it too. It was a really great video, and it was fun to watch, and it was great to see that veteran have somebody show up and tell him, "I know what you're going through." That meant the world to him.
Thank you, Tom. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, Deanna and I will review Star Wars fragrances from Keep Me Fragrances. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
Better than one of those coffee chains. It's Coffee with Kenobi.
Coffee with Kenobi was sponsored by Penguin Random House Audio. Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Try listening to them on audio. Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. From brand new audiobooks such as Thrawn and Empire's End Aftermath to our blockbuster movie tie-in editions, you'll have plenty to keep you entertained. Visit penguinrandomhouseaudio.com/Star Wars for sample clips and to start listening now. Coffee with Kenobi was also sponsored by the Star Wars digital card trader collecting app from Top. If you love Star Wars and love the excitement of chasing your favorite Star Wars collectibles, the Star Wars digital card trader collecting app from Topps is for you. Download the free app from iTunes or Google Play and collect your favorite images from the classic 1977 Star Wars card to the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, Force Awakens, Rogue One, and much more. Collect and trade with friends new and old through the Star Wars digital card trader collecting app from Topps. These are the cards you're looking for. In February of 2015, my wife Deanna came on CWK for the first time to discuss Star Wars and relationships. Basically, how to survive being a Star Wars widow. And is still the most fun I've ever had on this show. Easily. So naturally, whenever I can incorporate Deanna's interest into Coffee with Kenobi, I jump at the chance. So welcome back to the show, Deanna Z.
Thank you, Dan Z.
I always wonder, should we call you Deanna Z? It's fun to think about, isn't it?
I've never actually thought about that, but Deanna's fine.
Deanna's fine. Okay, we're going to go with that since that is in fact your name. So here's the deal. This is a sponsored segment, but that does not mean we have to say we like something. In fact, the more honest, the better, and this is one of the reasons why this is going to be fun. Because Keep Me Fragrances sent us a number of fragrances to sample and discuss on the show, and they're Star Wars scents. What did you think when I first told you about this?
Well, actually, when you started talking to me about something that came in the mail and you were excited about it, I didn't actually start paying attention until I heard the word perfume. But, just there's a lot that you talk about with regards to Star Wars. So
It's true.
So, then I was a little interested.
Yeah, because every day is kind of like Star Wars Christmas at the Zehr compound, Coffee with Kenobi Studios. But this time it's something that I can actually incorporate with you. So as I said, Keep Me Fragrances has sent us this. And when I first heard that there was Star Wars perfumes and colognes, I thought, oh, okay. I didn't really know what to expect. So now, live, we're going to try these for the very first time. Now, before we jump into this, let's talk about the packaging and the bottles. What kind of draws your attention to this? Because it's probably a little bit different than you may have expected originally.
Okay, so when we open these just now, I'm really impressed with the packaging, and that's kind of my thing, because here in the Zehr house, if the package ain't pretty, the package is gone. True story.
This is very true. We have recycling to prove it.
But no, I really like the boxing. I like the presentation. It's kind of fancy.
It is. What we're looking at is we've got a couple to choose from. There are 6 different fragrances, and each one has its own unique box. We have a Rey perfume, a Revenge, which is the cologne for men, and then we've got a light side and a dark side, and we are trying the travel sizes for that because we're keeping the boxes intact for something for the future, perhaps a giveaway. So Deanna's just sprayed the first sample. It's the dark cologne. It's a unisex one, and it's described as a powerful dark explosion of mystical notes permeating the air and encapsulating you in all that is dark and enticing. And I absolutely love the adjectives here for this. But what do you think?
I like it. It's definitely more masculine than feminine. Maybe a little bit of a musk.
I was going to say it's a little bit musky, but not like very overpowering musk. I think it'd be nice to wear. I don't think it would be like something that would be like, ooh, it would knock you over, but I think it's definitely appealing.
I agree.
There you go. So the next one we have is...
Can we pick our favorites at the end?
We're going to pick our favorites for sure. Maybe make a little mental notes of this. And for you at home keeping score, make sure you are doing that as well. The next one is light, which is also unisex. And this is labeled as a strong, fresh, pure infusion, which enlightens the senses and refreshes the soul. It captures a warm ambiance and surrounds you in all that is good and inviting. Again, we've got the dark and the light side of the force. So how is light?
Okay, I like this one much better.
Oh, it's nice.
Dark. It's very clean.
It is. It's very like springy. Is that a thing to say? Is that a real?
Yeah, it just smells fresh. Like, I guess that's what you mean by springy.
I think so. And I'm sure everyone who's listening is excited to hear me sniffing the microphone as I talk about this. It's good. It's very kind of flowery. Not fruity, but flowery.
Not overpoweringly flowery, though.
Yeah.
I just think it's very fresh and clean smelling.
It's good.
I like that one a lot.
Good. Well, good, because it's going to be in your Christmas stocking.
Oh, good.
All right, so I never knew I could talk about cologne this much. Who knows? All right, so the next one, this is the only one, as I said before, there are only two kinds. There's only one per gender and the rest are unisex. This one is Ray for women. It's a powerful, sweet, fruity, and floral fragrance representing all that is strong, collected, and sophisticated, which I think describes Ray pretty well too. So how's this one? We're dabbing right now. Not like rappers dabbing.
Oh, I really like this one too.
That's nice.
That is really good.
Yeah, it smells like something that you would totally wear.
Yeah, I would wear this one for sure.
Good. Well, you're gonna get a bottle of it.
And I really like the packaging on this. It comes in this really pretty like gold bottle, and it says Star Wars on the front and Ray. Yeah. But I would even leave this out in my closet.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, was that rose gold?
Display. It is a little rose gold. Yeah, you have been trained so well.
Oh, my wife knows what she's talking about. Yeah, we started to talk about the packages at the beginning, but they basically look like they come in books. The Revenge one that I'm holding right now has Kylo Ren on the front, and it's I don't know how you would describe it artistically, but it's not, what is this? Watercolors? What do I know? I'm an English teacher, not an art teacher.
It's embossed.
Embossed. That sounds really smart. Okay. It's embossed, and it's kind of almost like a cloudy Kylo Ren in the distance through the fog, and it's really slick looking. These are things that I would definitely put on my bookshelf next to other books because that's what it looks like, and it's just a nice way to display it. The back of the Revenge one has the First Order logo, whereas the back of the Rey one has the Resistance/Rebellion logo. So did you know that, Mrs. Zehr?
No, I did not know that. But They do look like books, and I didn't notice that until you just said it, but that might be why I like it so much.
I have my moments of insight.
I do.
All right, so the next one we have, and we agree that Ray is really nice.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Cool. So far, I think it's fair to say that these are definitely higher level, sophisticated fragrances. They're not just something you'd find at a gas station.
No, absolutely. I hope you're not buying perfume at a gas station, but we can talk about that later.
You didn't like your Mother's Day present? All right, so the next one we're going to look at is Droid. This is another unisex one. Described as an androgynous, energetic, citric, and floral fragrance combined with spicy and musky elements representing all that is precocious and good-spirited. I love how they're using this to reflect the characters as well as the scent. So, I've not smelled Droid yet. Let's see. Time for me to start sniffing again. Well, that's unique.
Yeah, I like it okay. I like the citrus part of it, but I don't like the citrus with the musk.
I think that's why I think it's so unique. It's definitely equal parts citrus and musk at the same time. It the floral hits you first and then the citrus, or then the musky, I guess. What do you think? And it's labeled as unisex. Do you feel like it would be something that you would be equally comfortably wearing as much as like, I don't know.
Again, on the opposite side, I feel like this one is more feminine.
You do. I totally think that as well.
Mm-hmm. It's good. I mean, it's not offensive. It's not my favorite, but
it's not, I really like that it's definitely one of the most unique scents I think I've ever smelled as far as colognes and perfumes go. Right? Hey, it's true. All of it. All right. So let's move on to the next one. Now we have Galaxy. This is also unisex, and it is a zesty, energetic, woody fragrance with warm and floral spicy notes representing all that is fearless and heroic. And by the way, a little behind the scenes, we're doing this in my Coffee with Kenobi studio / office, and I probably won't be able to breathe in here for much longer. There's a lot of scents in the air. So what's Galaxy like?
I'm kind of spraying it all over your desk too.
Oh, that's all right.
I put it on this paper, so sorry.
No worries. Oh, I think I just ate that one. You just put a lot on this one.
Sorry. What was the description?
This one is a zesty, energetic, woody fragrance with warm and floral spicy notes representing all that is fearless and heroic.
I don't get any floral from this. Woodsy, spicy, definitely, but I'm not getting any floral out of this one.
I smell like more of the woody fragrance type of thing too. Yeah, I don't know. This one is just it might be the fact that we just have lost all ability to smell because we didn't bring any coffee down here. And this is Coffee with Kenobi. You'd think I would have that, but I don't. It's not bad. It's one that I'm going to have to think about. It doesn't pop as much as the others for me personally.
And again, just because I'm, saying masculine or feminine with this, little more masculine. It's like a woody, more of an earthy.
I agree. More like I can't even think of it as a comparative one, but it's just a little bit stronger, but not as strong as the droid one. All right, the last one on this list is Revenge for Men. It is labeled as a dominant, spicy, aromatic fragrance with woody and capricious dark notes representing the very essence of the dark side of the Force. This is something else that they have managed to do. Each one of these fragrances is definitely unique. There's not like one I would say, oh, that smells a lot like the other one. They all have a very unique blend to them, I think.
Well, I think out of, how many have we tested? 6?
This is the sixth one, yeah.
There's definitely something for everybody. Like everybody could find a scent that they would like with all of these. So obviously everyone has their own taste and scents and, and what they want their partner to smell like. But I definitely think that everybody could find one of these that they really like. This Revenge is, it's a little too dark for me. Like they've really done a good job of capturing like
Kylo. This is now we know what Kylo Ren smells like.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I think it's fair to say that this is one that, like you said, I like how you explained it. There's a little bit there for everybody. This one I don't gravitate towards that one as readily as I do some of the previous ones, but it's definitely got to get a very dominant, unique scent all its own. So now that we have tried all of these, favorites, what would you say is your favorite versus your maybe one that is not as high on the list?
My absolute 2 favorites are Light, which is the unisex one, and Ray. Love the packaging on Ray. Anyone who is a fan of Ray, or if you have a daughter who's a fan of Ray, this would definitely be something to gift to them. But I like Ray and I like Light.
I think the first 3 we looked at, I think are among the top ones for me personally. I may have to try them again. Let's see. I remember I really liked the Ray when I wore it. I thought, oh, that would be nice. I hope Deanna wears that because I think it smells really good.
So I think if I had to put them in order,
yeah,
I would do Ray is my favorite, then Light, and then Galaxy, and then the one that you just picked up, Dark, would be next, and my 2 least favorite would be Droid and then Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, I'm the person who picks paint colors for the house based on what the name of it is. So some
That's
of
true.
this could.
I've seen how she fills out her NCAA brackets.
Right. Hey, where they're located and the color of their uniforms do matter in how they play.
Absolutely. I think we're pretty similar, except I think I liked. You said you liked Galaxy more than Droid. I think I liked Droid a little bit better.
I liked Galaxy before Dark and Droid. So yeah.
But we definitely agree. The light one definitely seems a little more feminine. The dark seems a little more masculine. I really like the dark a lot. As I mentioned, the Ray one smells really good too. For something for you to wear. And then Galaxy is very unique. Like, it's not one that I would necessarily wear every single day. It's like the Danzy signature scent, as it were. But definitely something that I like. Well, yeah, of course I do.
Great.
That's why, why do you think you love me so much?
I'm taking notes over here because I'm thinking if you're working too hard on your podcast and spending too much time in here, I'm just going to spritz on some Ray, come down and ask you if you want to go have a date night.
I think it will work.
Okay.
I think it will absolutely work. I like the way you think, Mrs. Z. So before we let you go, again, this segment was sponsored by Keep Me Fragrances, so we want to thank them for sending these along to us. It was a very fun excuse to talk Star Wars with my wife, or just to look into those pretty eyes of hers anyway, so life is good. So Deanna, before we let you go, because I know your coffee is running short, or actually this is your tea that you're drinking right now.
Yes, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your blog, because you are a lifestyle blogger that's got some really great things you do every single week. Tell us about that.
Well, I have been dabbling in blog writing for the past few years, and starting in January, I just kind of really committed to it, and I blog 2 to 3 times a week. It's www.fromheretozehr.blogspot.com. And it's a lifestyle blog, like Dan said, and I blog about just kind of our lives, what's going on, a lot about what I'm reading. I do a monthly Books and Beans post about what coffee I'm loving from Starbucks that month and what books I've read, and just lots of randomness. It's just a good creative outlet for me. So,
and Deanna is very talented, and she's a voracious reader. Like, I will get the latest Star Wars book, and I'll be trugging along through this, and loving life. And I'll look over, and Deanna's read like 4 books while I'm reading the one, because you consume books. It's one of your passions, and the way you talk about them and describe them. And I'm biased, yes, but I don't think anyone who read your blog would think anything other than, wow, she knows what she's talking about. And you have a fun way of expressing yourself too, which I appreciate.
Well, thank you. Very nice. Glad you're reading.
I am. So we will have links to that, of course, on the show. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of our loyal listeners have a significant other that may not necessarily love Star Wars, but they love life and their families and fashion and books and just fun. So this is something that you need to turn your spouse onto. So be sure to do that. Thank you again for coming back on the show and having a cup of coffee with me, Mrs. Z. Deanna Zehr, ladies and gentlemen. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
Better than one of those coffee chains. It's Coffee with Kenobi.
All right, well, we are getting close to running out of time. I want to be sure to thank our CWK sponsors, Penguin Random House Audio, and the Star Wars digital card trader collecting app from Topps. Please support them the way they support our podcast. And remember to listen to new and archived shows of Coffee with Kenobi wherever you listen to podcasts, including iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Player FM, our website, or wherever you'll enjoy listening to your favorite shows. And if you listen to the show through iTunes, please leave us a review. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, and we'd love for you to check us out there. Be sure to listen to our CWK family of shows too, including Legends Library, Rebels Reactions, Comics with Kenobi, and Lattes with Leia. A big thank you to Joe Tavano and Scott Murray for having a cup of coffee with me. Where can people reach out to the both of you if they want to ask either of you a question, or just say hello, and please feel free to plug anything that you have going on.
Scott, you can go first.
Okay, so Assembly of Geeks is a podcast network. We've been a podcast network officially now since January. We have our flagship show, which is The Geek Directive, We have the insanely popular Comic Book Noob, which is a simple 30-minute podcast that gets you a full background on a comic book character. We have the Gamers Dominion. We now have Sky Talkers, which is our new Star Wars podcast. And we have Blast from the Past, which is a monthly kind of retro movie TV show podcast. So if you visit assemblyofgeeks.com, you can stream or download anything from any of those shows, or we have all of our links to some of the more popular podcast hubs that you can also get that content.
Okay, so you can find me at retrozap.com. Retrozap is a website and podcast network. We have a staff of over 35, maybe even 40 people pushing right now that are writers and podcasters and artists. And we are doing great stuff daily, a great team worldwide that is contributing on everything in pop culture, from comics to TV to film. A heavy emphasis on Star Wars, but clearly plenty of other genres as well. I mean, we have articles on Spider-Man Homecoming. We have Valerian, which is coming out this summer. We have a whole retrospective on that. We have a ton of different content on there, plus a massive podcast network of, we just added our 17th show called The Dork Lair, which is specifically on Star Wars SH Figure Arts, high-end collectible figures, which is fantastic. You can find me at Brews and Blasters, which is my show that I talk with my buddy Chris Salton from the Collector's Hut at all about Star Wars, and we go off on crazy tangents. We have a great time. I also do a Game of Thrones podcast called We Know Nothing, and a Dune podcast called clearly the Dunecast, and we have a great time on that as well.
I don't know how either of you have time to sleep, but I'm certainly glad that you find the time to put these great things out in the air. There's a lot of cross-pollination with our different family networks, too. Everybody's
yes, sir,
kind of going in and out, which is great. So we're going to go ahead and be back next week with 2 new co-hosts and more Star Wars talk. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee With Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along.